I want to talk today. So before I go back and do my treadmill and everything else I'm going to do for the rest of today, I wanted to talk about Norm MacDonald. So I'm not going to monetize this because he just recently passed. So yeah, so I'm not going to monetize this, but I want to talk a little bit about Norm MacDonald because A, he's Canadian, and B, his sense of humor and my sense of humor line up quite a bit. I remember watching him on Weekend Update, and there's so many things about him that just his timing was so good. His ability to take a joke that really wasn't funny and make it funny, and to do it in a Norm Macdonald way was unique. And he could be raunchy, he could be clean, he could tell the joke he told on Conan O'Brien, a meandering 4.5 minute joke where the name of the guy in the joke changed. And when Conan O'Brien said, I think his last name just changed, his response was, well, people grow. Like, he was unflappable. Like, you couldn't knock him off of his game. And of course, the one thing that people seem to recall most with Norm MacDonald now is when he was playing Burt Reynolds on Celebrity Jeopardy. And it honestly, it was his ability to just stand there and chew gum and just be a dick. And he had the mustache and just, yeah, no, I'm Burt Reynolds, and it just worked. And it worked even though he wasn't necessarily sounding like Burt Reynolds. He was doing the thing with his shirts that Burt does, and sort of the half paying attention. He had that, but I wouldn't say his voice sounded like. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Didn't matter. He wasn't built like Burt Reynolds. None of it mattered. He was the only one too that I can remember that got fired from Saturday Night Live because they told him he wasn't funny, and then they brought him back as a guest host, and he called them out on it. And I think, Norm Macdonald's sense of humor, his stand up wasn't for everybody. I did a video years ago on this channel, about 4 years ago on this channel, where I compared his stand up, which was funny, to Amy Schumer's, which is not. And I still make that statement to this day, even though at the time there were people who came in and, oh, how dare you? And Amy Schumer's really funny. She's not. But Norm Macdonald was. And his ability to, again, he could tell a meandering joke and you would just listen the whole way through. It was a journey. And then it'd be some really cheesy end to the story, some cheesy hook. It didn't even have to have a good ending to the joke. And it might just sort of peter out. It didn't matter because he had people wrapped around his finger. He could tell a story. And I think, knowing now that he was dealing with a lot of health problems the last few years he was around, and that he hid that from people because he didn't want that to be out in the public sphere, and he wanted to just, have as normal a life as possible with what he had left. I think that's commendable. He is absolutely one of my favorite comedians ever. He'd be, and again, that dry humor and that ability to, and again, I know there's been times where I'll do a video on the hockey guy or on here, and there's some joke that'll meander, and all I could think in the back of my mind was, that was a very Norm Macdonald thing I just did there. And wasn't in his way, and it wasn't the kind of joke he'd tell. But again, it's a very Norm Macdonald way of going off and still making it work. And I think too, he was just so many things. I was never a big fan of the comedians in cars getting coffee, but his take on things in that episode just absolutely fantastic, and his ability to make even other comedians laugh is a testament to how funny he was. And so, Canada really lost something here, and I think the world really lost something here with the loss of Norm Macdonald. And so I wanted to quickly just talk about how I know that his sense of humor has influenced me. I watched stand up comics so much growing up. I had my childhood was not a lot of fun. So sometimes the evening at the improv was my chance to just forget all that and just sit and watch improv comics. And then when they started having the hour long TV specials for comics, and I discovered Jim Carrey through a 1 hour made for TV event before Pet Detective, before he became a star, before he was even on In Living Color. He had his own TV special, which was just mind blowing. I remember my dad just being baffled the whole time, going, "I don't know how any of this is funny," and I was in tears. George Carlin, of course, is up there. Howie Mandel had some specials in the '80s that were really, really funny, and yeah, it is remarkable. That there are some comedians out there that just they're always funny no matter what, and yet Norm Macdonald always seemed to me like a pretty decent guy as well. Like you always got the feeling that he was a good guy outside of all of it too, which with stand up comics isn't always the case. There have certainly been some stand up comics over the last few years that some stuff has come out about, and they're having a hard time navigating some of that. But Norm Macdonald, I never heard anything, and of course, I guess the last acting credit that I can think of would be as the pigeon on the Mike Tyson mystery show, which is honestly really funny on Netflix, and each episode's like 10 minutes, if that, shorter than that, and that show really leans into some of, to me, the most funny and inappropriate comedy that there is. And inappropriate comedy is tricky. You have to have that line where it's a distasteful joke, but you haven't alienated people. And sometimes shows cross that line and then they don't know how to actually make it funny. So the distasteful jokes are out there, but they don't actually make the rest of the show funny, so it's just distasteful. And I thought that and again, Norm Macdonald is the talking pigeon. He had jokes that were really inappropriate, but they could still make that episode funny, and you'd still go, well, that was I can't believe he just said that, and you'd still find the episode entertaining and funny at the same time, rather than just, I can't believe they said that. Oh, and then that happened, and oh, I can't watch this. So there's that. But, your favorite Norm Macdonald thing in the comment section below. Let me know. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And so, yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Norm Macdonald today. And thank you guys so much for paying attention and listening to my recollections. Let me know what you thought was Norm Macdonald's best, whether it was Weekend Update, his bout as Turd Ferguson / Burt Reynolds, or maybe a part in a movie, wherever you think that he did some of his best work, or maybe something that people didn't appreciate at the time that you think they should. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.